1964, Oakland, California. A room full of Chinese kung fu masters issues Bruce Lee an ultimatum. Stop teaching martial arts to non-Chinese students or fight our champion. If you lose, you close your school forever. These masters are upholding 3,000 years of tradition. Chinese martial arts secrets are passed only to Chinese students, never to outsiders, never to white people. This is sacred law that nobody breaks. Bruce Lee looks at them and says, "Your tradition is stupid. I'll teach whoever wants to learn, and I'll prove your champion can't touch me." The fight lasts 3 minutes. Bruce wins easily, but something bothers him deeply. Not the victory, but how long it took. Bruce expected to finish in seconds. The fact that it took 3 full minutes means something is wrong. That realization changes everything. Bruce starts questioning every martial art he's ever learned, every technique, every tradition, every ancient master. Within a few years, Bruce will create something unprecedented, a martial art with no forms, no traditions, no boundaries. A philosophy that says the ultimate technique is having no technique. That 3,000 years of tradition might be 3,000 years of limitations. But here's the real question. How did one man destroy thousands of years of martial arts tradition and replace it with a philosophy so powerful that it's still changing combat sports, philosophy, and personal development 50 years after his death? How did Bruce Lee prove that the most radical act is thinking for yourself? This is that story. November 27th, 1940, San Francisco. Bruce Lee is born. 3 months later, his family returns to Hong Kong. Bruce grows up watching traditional kung fu schools operate like religious cults. Strict hierarchies, ancient forms repeated endlessly, unquestioning obedience to masters. At 13, Bruce starts studying Wing Chun under Master Yip Man. But Bruce is a terrible traditional student. He doesn't just learn movements, he interrogates them. Why do we stand like this? Why not like that? What if the opponent does this? Why can't we modify this technique? Traditional martial arts is built on one principle. The ancient masters figured everything out already. Your job is to memorize and repeat exactly what they did. Don't question, don't innovate, just obey. Bruce hates this with every fiber of his being. He's reading philosophy. Krishnamurti, who says, "Truth is a pathless land." Alan Watts, who says, "The menu is not the meal." He's understanding that techniques are just fingers pointing at the moon. If you focus on the finger, you miss the moon entirely. But tradition is sacred to the Chinese martial arts community. When Bruce starts teaching non-Chinese students in Seattle in the early 1960s, he's committing heresy. Chinese kung fu masters see this as ultimate betrayal. You don't share ancient secrets with white people who colonized China. You don't give away what took centuries to develop. The Oakland Challenge in 1964 is meant to put Bruce in his place. Respect tradition or be destroyed. Bruce wins the fight, but the experience radicalizes him. He realizes if that fight took 3 minutes, my Wing Chun is insufficient. If I got tired, my conditioning is inadequate. If I wasted motion, my technique is bloated with unnecessary tradition. Bruce starts training in everything. Boxing for hand speed and footwork, fencing for distance and timing, wrestling for grappling, judo for throws, karate for power. He reads biomechanics textbooks, studies kinesiology, watches animals move and tries to understand optimal movement patterns. And he reaches a revolutionary conclusion. Every martial art is limited by its own tradition. Karate says you must stand like this. Wing Chun says you must move like that. Boxing has rules about what you can't do. But in a real fight, Bruce asks, who cares about tradition? The only question is, what works? This leads Bruce to create Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. But it's not really a martial art. It's an anti-martial art, a philosophy of no philosophy. Bruce's famous quote captures it. Absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is specifically your own. Think about how radical this is. For 3,000 years, martial arts has been about preserving tradition. Bruce says, tradition for tradition's sake is worthless. Effectiveness is all that matters. He creates no forms to memorize, no rituals, no belt system, no hierarchy, just principles, directness, simplicity, personal expression. Traditional martial artists are furious. They call Bruce a sellout, a fake, a disgrace to Chinese culture. How dare he mix sacred arts? How dare he question ancient masters? How dare he say some traditional techniques are useless? Bruce doesn't care. He's discovered something more important than tradition: truth. And truth doesn't care about your ancient masters or sacred techniques. But Bruce faces a bigger challenge than traditional martial artists: Hollywood. 1960s Hollywood. Bruce is trying to break into American cinema. He's handsome, charismatic, impossibly skilled. He should be a star. But Hollywood tells him the same thing repeatedly: American audiences won't accept an Asian leading man. This isn't just about Bruce. This is systematic racism. For decades, Hollywood has portrayed Asian men as laundry workers, evil masterminds, comic relief, always subservient, always weak, always asexual, never heroes, never powerful, never romantic leads. Bruce watches this and understands. I'm not just fighting for a movie role. I'm fighting to change how the world sees Asian men. Bruce gets cast as Kato in The Green Hornet. He's the sidekick to a white hero. But Bruce makes Kato unforgettable. His fight scenes are revolutionary, fast, precise, real martial arts on American TV for the first time. Fan mail reveals something shocking. Audiences care more about Kato than the Green Hornet. Kids are playing Kato on playgrounds. The sidekick is more popular than the hero. But Hollywood still won't give Bruce a leading role. Then comes the ultimate betrayal. Bruce pitches The Warrior, a kung fu master in the Old West. Executives love it. Then they cast David Carradine, a white actor with zero martial arts training, to play the Chinese martial artist. The show becomes kung fu. Massive hit. Makes Carradine a star. Bruce gets nothing. This moment could have destroyed Bruce. Instead, it clarifies everything. Hollywood won't give me opportunities. I have to create them where Hollywood can't deny me. Bruce returns to Hong Kong and makes The Big Boss. Simple revenge story. But Bruce uses his body as a revolutionary statement. Watch how Bruce moves in his films. It's not just martial arts. It's a political statement. Every strike says, Asian men are not weak. Every kick says, we are not subservient. Every scene where Bruce dominates says, your stereotypes are lies. In Fist of Fury, Bruce's character confronts Japanese occupiers who have a sign, no dogs in Chinese allowed. Bruce doesn't just destroy the sign, he annihilates it with a flying kick while screaming in rage. When Chinese audiences see this, something breaks open in their consciousness. For the first time, they're seeing an Asian hero who isn't accommodating racism, who's actively destroying it, who's proud, powerful, unbreakable. The Big Boss shatters every box office record in Hong Kong. Fist of Fury breaks those records immediately. Bruce isn't just making movies. He's giving millions of Asians worldwide a hero who looks like them and refuses to be diminished. Then Warner Brothers calls. They want Enter the Dragon. Co-production, American budget, international distribution. But Bruce negotiates fiercely. I want creative control over fights. My character must be dignified. No broken English, no stereotypes, no subservience. A hero who's intelligent, skilled, respected. Warner Brothers agrees because they need Bruce. His Hong Kong films proved he's a phenomenon. Bruce pours everything into Enter the Dragon. Not just his martial arts, but his philosophy. There's a scene where Bruce teaches a student, don't think, feel. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger, or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. That's not fight choreography. That's Zen Buddhism. Bruce is smuggling Eastern philosophy into a martial arts film, teaching millions without them realizing they're students. The nunchaku scene makes nunchucks iconic worldwide. The mirror room fight displays impossible choreography. Every fight demonstrates something Bruce discovered. When you remove traditional limitations, movement becomes art. July 20th, 1973. 6 days before Enter the Dragon premieres in America, Bruce dies mysteriously in Hong Kong. He's 32. Official cause, cerebral edema. The theories are endless: assassination, ancient curse, death touch. The truth is probably that Bruce pushed his body beyond human limits and it gave out. Enter the Dragon premieres 6 days after his death. It becomes the highest-grossing martial arts film in history, over $350 million worldwide, more than $2 billion today. But the money doesn't capture the real impact. Bruce didn't just make a successful film, he proved something that Hollywood said was impossible. An Asian man could carry a blockbuster film as an undeniable hero. Bruce Lee died in 1973, but what he started, the war against tradition, the philosophy of personal truth, the revolution of thinking for yourself, that never stopped. First, Bruce created modern mixed martial arts 40 years before UFC existed. His philosophy, take what works from anywhere, discard tradition, mix styles, is exactly what MMA is. Every UFC fighter trains multiple disciplines: boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. That's Bruce's blueprint. Dana White calls Bruce the father of MMA. The sport wouldn't exist without Bruce proving that mixing martial arts creates better fighters than traditional purity. Second, Bruce proved that questioning tradition isn't disrespectful, it's necessary for progress. For 3,000 years, martial artists preserved traditions. Bruce said, some of those traditions are useless. Progress requires killing your sacred cows. This philosophy transcends martial arts. It's about how you approach any field. Don't accept we've always done it this way. Question everything. Keep what works. Discard what doesn't. Third, Bruce made Eastern philosophy accessible to Western masses. He didn't write academic papers. He demonstrated philosophy through his body. Be water. That's Taoism about adapting to circumstances. The art of fighting without fighting, that's about achieving goals through intelligence, not force. Millions learned these concepts from Bruce, who would never read philosophy books. Fourth, Bruce changed physical training globally. His obsession with functional fitness, speed training, core strength, all decades ahead of sports science. Modern athletic training uses principles Bruce pioneered: explosive power, varied intensity, mental visualization, training the mind as rigorously as the body. Fifth, Bruce proved that you don't need credentials or permission to innovate. He had no formal education in philosophy, kinesiology, or biomechanics. He taught himself. He questioned experts. He tested everything personally. This DIY approach to knowledge, trust your experience over authority, test everything yourself, build your own system, that's revolutionary in any field. Sixth, Bruce weaponized personal authenticity. Hollywood wanted him to be less Chinese. Traditional martial artists wanted him to be more Chinese. Bruce said, I'll be exactly who I am. That refusal to be what others demanded created a template. Authentic self-expression is more powerful than trying to fit others' expectations. Seventh, Bruce's famous one-inch punch, generating devastating power from 1 inch away, demonstrates his principle: efficiency over showiness. Real power doesn't need wind-up or dramatic motion. This fascinates people beyond martial arts. It's about eliminating wasted motion in any endeavor. Maximum effectiveness with minimum effort. Eighth, Bruce influenced hip-hop profoundly. The Wu-Tang Clan built their identity around kung fu films and Bruce Lee philosophy. RZA says Bruce taught him about discipline, focus, and being true to yourself. Bruce's samples appear in countless songs. His philosophy of personal expression resonates with hip-hop's ethos of authentic voice. Ninth, Bruce's death made him immortal. Dying at 32 at his peak, before decline or compromise, it froze him as the perfect warrior philosopher. Every generation rediscovers Bruce and finds his message relevant. The philosophy doesn't age because it's about fundamental truths. Think for yourself, question authority, find your own path. 10th, Bruce proved that the body can be a philosophical text. Every movement in his films is an argument against limitation. Every fight is a demonstration that tradition can be transcended. This influenced performance art, dance, theater. The idea that physical movement can convey complex ideas, that the body is an instrument of philosophy. 11th, Bruce's water philosophy becomes business strategy. Be like water. Adapt to circumstances. Flow around obstacles, don't break against resistance. That's Silicon Valley thinking. Tech entrepreneurs quote Bruce. His philosophy of adaptation and fluidity is innovation strategy. Be formless. Take the shape of your container. Pivot without ego attachment. 12th, Bruce influenced video games more than any martial artist. Every fighting game has a Bruce Lee-inspired character. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, all use his style, his sounds, his philosophy. Generations learn martial arts concepts from games that trace directly to Bruce. 13th, Bruce's daughter Shannon Lee continues spreading his philosophy through the Bruce Lee Foundation, not just teaching fighting, but teaching people to question limitations, find personal truth, express authentic self. Bruce's writings, published as books, reveal his deepest thinking about self-actualization, about knowing yourself, about constant growth. He wrote, "I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine." That declaration of independence from others' judgments is revolutionary in any culture, any era. Bruce's ultimate message isn't about martial arts. It's about liberation from mental slavery, from tradition for tradition's sake, from doing things simply because that's how it's done. He's saying, think for yourself, test everything, keep what works for you, discard what doesn't. Don't be imprisoned by anyone's system, including his own. So how did Bruce Lee change the world? He destroyed 3,000 years of martial arts tradition by proving that questioning sacred techniques creates better fighters than blind obedience. He created modern mixed martial arts by showing that mixing styles works better than traditional purity. He used his body as a political weapon, shattering Hollywood's stereotypes about Asian men through performance so undeniable that denial became impossible. He made Eastern philosophy accessible to Western masses by demonstrating it through action rather than academic discourse. He proved that credentials don't matter. Testing ideas yourself, thinking independently, and building your own system matters. Most importantly, Bruce showed that the ultimate tradition is having no tradition, that the highest technique is having no technique. That real freedom comes from thinking for yourself, questioning everything, and finding your own truth. Bruce Lee didn't just change martial arts. He changed how millions think about tradition, authority, and personal truth. His message is simple but revolutionary. Don't let anyone tell you who you have to be. Don't accept limitations because that's how it's always been. Break the rules. Question the masters. Find your own way. That's how a 135-pound martial artist started a revolution that's still changing minds 50 years after his death. Be water, my friend, but also be yourself.